Tradition by Brony Eagle Scout. There is an unspoken tradition among the Apple family on Sweet Apple Acres. On the last Sunday of each month, we spend the day in relaxation and don't worry about the farm. Big Macintosh goes into town and frequents Berry Punch's bar with some of his friends. He usually stays late to watch a hoofball game or two if the teams are good or it's the playoffs. Applebloom usually spends the day with the rest of the Crusaders and performs some crazy scheme to get their cutie marks. Granny Smith doesn't leave the farm as much as she used to, but she tries. I'm usually with the rest of the gang, either doing something, but before any of us leave the farm, all of us talk to Mom and Dad. Applebloom and Mac go separately sometime in the morning, giving the other as much time as they need to say their piece. I head up after lunch, and Granny Smith always goes during sunset. It's not uncommon for Applebloom to need a shoulder to cry on, or for Mac to get me out of some sorry state of mind. Hey, sometimes we let out our emotions at the drop of a hat and cry together. The weather always seems to fit on those Sundays. It starts off with a dreary overcast in the morning, but the clouds always break away to show the beautiful blue sky. I don't know if Rainbow Dash is responsible for this, but I would thank her if she was. Today was no different as I walked through the familiar rows of apple trees. The path towards where Mom and Dad rested was etched in all of our minds as we walked to the only non-apple tree in the entire orchard. A beautiful oak tree grew on the tallest hill of our land, and the two stones stood stalwart near its trunk. The wildflowers growing around the tree gave off a happier atmosphere around the gravesite. I sat in front of the markers and took off Dad's hat.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. I know things weren't going well last time I came by, but they're looking up now.
I said happily.
Turns out the big storm I was worried over missed the farm by a mile or two, but it hit Ponyville pretty hard. Thankfully, no pony was hurt and the damage was limited to a few uprooted trees and some smashed windows. Mac and I are helping where we can, and the town should be fixed up by the time cider season comes around. Hopefully, we'll get a healthy turnout and be able to fix those extra carts I've been fussing about the last few months. But enough on how work is going.
I dropped the business tone.
Mac looks happier nowadays. I don't know, but it seems some air was able to break past his shyness. I'm sure I'll bring her around the farm once he gathers enough courage. And no, Dad, no one asks me out yet. Any stallion brave enough tends to get shy after I buck the first prick out of my face. Much to your dismay, Dad, I'm sure some pony will sweep me off my feet soon enough.
I looked behind me and saw four Philly-shaped dots heading towards town. I turned back around and started fidgeting with Dad's hat, rubbing small circles on the brim.
Applebloom never ceases to amaze me. You two wouldn't believe how smart she is. Every week she's going up and down the farm about the latest test she aced or how her report got a perfect score. School must have been tough for them when I was in,
I looked down in shame.
because she's bringing back homework from school that she wants my help understanding, and it's getting to the point where I have to get Twilight to help me figure it out.
I brought my head up, and my stubbornness started to come out.
But don't worry, I'll do my best to help her out, even if it means learning algebra all over again. She's still got the old apple moral backbone. She stopped two of the bullies at the school from picking on another filly. Dinky, I think her name was. Shoot. Those two hit it off, and now the cutie markers are now 4 strong.
The pride started to wane as unpleasant thoughts started to fill my head.
I'm not sure how long Granny Smith is going to be with us. I've already told you about how the doctor diagnosed her with something called dementia last month. I couldn't understand it all, and the medical jargon they all told me, Mac, all I can see is how her memory comes and goes during the day. Sometimes she's a steel trap and able to help around the house. Other times she gets a far-off look in her eyes and keeps thinking she's 30 years younger. First time we noticed was when she confused Mac and me with both of you, which caused both of us to break into sobs. Plus, I think all that forgetfulness has caused a spike in her temper, which is scary sometimes. The slamming the doors and loud cursing have already scared Fluttershy from coming over and ponies from around town are starting to worry. I hope for the best, but whenever she forgets any of us are,
I choke back a sob and wipe away the single tear running down my face. I put the hat back on and try to use my best smile, which felt a bit too forced for my liking.
sorry about that. It's just a bit overwhelming sometimes. I just wish there was an easier way to deal with her, but I don't think any of us have the heart to send her away to some nursing home or Celestia forbid, a hospice.
I could feel the warm sun rays start to cover my back. It felt like a hug, comforting and safe.
Come on, Applejack, you know they don't want to hear it moping. I'm sure wondering how I'm holding up. Work keeps mind off stuff Granny's going through. My friends are a big help when I need 'em. Speaking of which, all of 'em are doing good. Twilight hasn't gone bonkers in a while. Rainbow Dash is going to be a wonderbolt trying out in Cloudsdale on the 14th. Pinkie Pie is hosting a party today for Time Turner and expects me to be there. Fluttershy is still helping the animals, but Winter should free her from her caretaker responsibilities till spring. Then there's Rarity, one I used to complain about for months until twice set straight. She's the one I've been spending most of my time with, believe it or not. She always lends us an ear for me to vent to if I need, and I do the same. She wants me to come over after Pinkie's party to discuss about something. Hopefully it's nothing frou-frou like dresses.
I looked up towards the sky and took note of the sun's position. With a heavy sigh, I walked up to the tombstones and placed a hoof by each of their names. I've always hated these goodbyes. It just leaves a bitter taste in my mouth after every one, and it doesn't get any better. And come to think of it, I don't think it should. Moments like these remind me that I'm equine, and that I have to be the best pony I can be. Mom and Dad would expect nothing less, and I aim to make them proud.
There aren't words that can describe how much I miss you, and there isn't a day that goes by where I don't think about your smiling faces. I love you, and I'll be back same time around next month.
Oh, the end.